Also good stuff.
Yeah.
What we got going on
I'm kind of covering
today.
it up. My large head, my bulbous-shaped head there is kind of covering the things up there. There's the sunset, although sun doesn't set for another half hour. It's getting close to 6 p.m., but beautiful out there at our Shiloh and Seaside cam. 56 degrees out there, and then a little farther down the coastline, discover Newport. We've got temperatures in the 50s there as well. The temperature sensor is out at the airport. But Willamette Valley Vineyards, look, we actually have a bunch of people out there enjoying the sunset with a little glass of wine, I suppose. Willamette Valley Vineyards in the South Salem Hills, 55 degrees there. Really nice late winter evening. And here are the official numbers. Yeah, in the valley, right around 60. Roseburg hit 65. We hit 63. Kelso, 62. And even the coastline, upper 50s, and the high desert, 61 at Redmond. Madras, you're getting rid of the last of the snow, all that snow you had last week. So that kept you cooler. When the sun hits that white snow-covered ground, it's slower to warm up. But most of you east of the Cascades in the 50s. All right, so what's happening next? Look up to the northwest, not to California, but up to the northwest. You see there's a jet stream starting to get organized up here, and this is the polar jet, and of course it's a little colder one. And that will be dipping down over us once we get to Monday. Now, in advance of that, the clouds are going to be thickening up a bit tomorrow. Here's a forecast for cloud cover. You see at 7 a.m., I think it'll be one of those sunrises tomorrow, unless you have a foggy spot in your neighborhood where you look out towards the Cascades. It'll be kind of that reddish sunrise because we'll have some thin, high clouds. That could be pretty. Clouds thicken up a bit in the afternoon, but our models have backed off a little bit. They're saying from the metro area southward and from about Tillamook southward along the coast that we'll still have a decent amount of sunshine the second part of the day. I plan to be outside, and then I'll come inside on Sunday because Sunday morning it's gray, Sunday afternoon it turns wet. Looks really wet, right? Well, scattered showers then linger throughout the daytime on Monday, but how much rain? Remember, it looks wet, but it's not that much rain, actually. We think maybe 1 to 2/10 of an inch, or a quarter inch of rain at most through Monday. Now, snow in the Cascades, that is a story. We've got a winter storm watch up because we see a whole bunch of snow coming up. A foot to at most 2 feet. We're going to just call it 12 to 18 inches coming up in the Cascades. Because of that, there is a winter storm watch up. You don't have to worry about driving through the Cascades tomorrow. Driving through the Cascades most of Sunday should be fine as well. It's about Sunday night and Monday up there. So in Portland, enjoy tomorrow. There'll be some sun early. It'll kind of be broken skies midday, and then it clouds up later in the afternoon. By the time the sun sets, it's pretty cloudy, and that should knock our high temperature down to still a very respectable 54 degrees. Sunday, light afternoon rain. Monday, I don't think we've changed this for about 4 days. Mixed showers on Monday, a high of 45. And that means sometimes, Riel, this isn't an official term, but we'll call it chunky rain. You know, when you're driving along and you're like, that's not just rain, that's like there's snow mixed in. That's what's going to happen, I think, on Monday. Beyond that, we stay cool and wet the rest of the week. Tuesday, not many showers at first. It starts raining later in the day, still only 45. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, very wet days, especially Thursday. And I didn't mention the coast range. There will be a few inches of snow, not a ton, less than 6 inches, I think, Sunday night and Monday morning. If you're driving over the coast range Monday morning, it will be a little bit snowy up there. Riel?